8.3, we're going to be factoring trinomials that are of the form x squared plus bx plus c. Alright, so this slide you don't have to write down, but please just listen so I can show you what's happening here. If you think about, we learned how to multiply binomials, a binomial times a binomial, and we did this by foiling. First we did x times x, and we got x squared. Then we did x times 3, and we got 3x. Then we did 6x, and 6 times 3 is 18. You combine your like terms, x squared plus 9x plus 18. So that's something we already know how to do. What we're going to work on now is this process but backwards. So we're going to give you this and say factor x squared plus 9x plus 18, and your answer will look like this in the end. Well, if you notice, the answer has the x and the x. That's what got multiplied to give you the x squared. And then the question is, how do we come up with the 3 and the 6? Well, the 3 and the 6 multiplied give you the 18, so that makes sense. And then the 3 plus the 6 is what gives us that 9 right there. So we're looking for the perfect combination of factors that will multiply to that 18, but add up to that middle number. So basically what we're doing is it's like foiling, but backwards. Alright, so when you factor a trinomial, here's what you do. You have x squared plus 12x plus 20. You need to find factors of c that add up to b. And if you don't know what c and b are, here is standard form for a trinomial. Ax squared plus bx plus c. So the b is always the number with the x, and the c is always the number on the end. So what we're trying to find are factors of 20. So what are factors of 20? 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5. Factors of 20 that will add up to a positive 12. So if you look at these combinations of numbers, 1 plus 20 is 21, so that does not work. 2 plus 10 is 12, so those are the numbers we need, 2 and 10. 4 plus 5 is 9, so that didn't work. There's only one set of numbers that will work. It's a bit of a puzzle to try to figure it out. So our answer is going to look like this. The x and the x goes first. And then these factors that we found, the 2 and the 10, because they're positive, one of them goes in the first parentheses and one of them goes in the second. And it does not matter where you put those. If you had said x plus 10 first and x plus 2 second, same thing. As long as you have a positive 10 and a positive 2, we're set. So this is our answer. If you were to FOIL this out, it would look like that x squared plus 12x plus 20. We're not going to unless you really feel like checking your answers. Alright, so factoring your trinomial. Here's the process. You start with the last number, negative 24. And you need to find two numbers that will multiply to negative 24 but add up to a positive 2. So what multiplies to negative 24? Well, one thing to think about is first I'm going to look at factors of 24. And I know that I'm kind of writing all this down, and you guys will get the hang of this. Oops, 3 times 8. And you won't need to write all this down, but this is your fallback. Now, because it's a negative 24, when you multiply these two factors together, what's going to make it a negative 24? One of them must be negative. So if you add these two numbers together, one of them has to be negative, but it adds up to a positive 2. Now, because it's adding to a positive 2, a little trick you can do on this is let's make the bigger number positive. So positive 24, positive 12, positive 8, positive 6, which means that the smaller numbers must be negative. So can we find a factor pair that adds up to give us a positive 2? Hopefully you guys have already found the negative 4 and positive 6. So our answer is x minus 4 and x plus 6. Done. And the reason why that works, negative 4 times 6 is negative 24, and negative 4 plus 6 is a positive 2. All right, so now we're looking for, start always with the last number, factors of negative 27 that add up to a negative 6. Well, 27 doesn't have a lot of factors. Pretty much just 1 and 27, 3 and 9. So we might be drawn to the 3 and 9 right away, at least I know I am. Because it's multiplying to a negative 27, that means it's either a negative 3 or a negative 9. How do you know which one it should be? Well, trial and error, you could figure it out. Or you could say it's adding up to a negative number. That means that the bigger number must be negative. So 3 plus a negative 9 is a negative 6. So those are our numbers. X plus 3, x minus 9. So 3 times negative 9 is negative 27, and 3 plus a negative 9 is negative 6. And that's kind of your check. We know we found the right numbers when we got that figured out. So here are some rules for factoring you can put in your notes. Well, you should put in your notes. And it kind of just helps you figure out the signs of what you're doing. So if that last number is positive, and if B is positive, that means that both factors are positive. If C is positive but B is negative, both factors are negative. And we'll go through this again with some examples. If C is negative but B is positive, larger factor must be positive, so the larger factor must match the B. If C is negative but B is negative, the larger factor must be negative. So write that down, pause it. I'm going to move on to the next slide. All right, this is actually our last slide. So here's what you can think of when you factor these. Look at, it's a positive 32. So that means that both factors are positive or both factors are negative. Because it's adding up to a positive 12, that means that your factors are both positive. So what are your factors of 32? 1 and 32. If you add those up, do you get 12? No. 2 and 16. 4 and 8. I think that covers it. So do any of those add up to a positive 12? 4 and 8. So x plus 4, x plus 8. All right, negative 36. Now because C is negative, that means that you have a positive and a negative factor. So 1 and 36, 2 and 18, 3 and 12, 4 and 9, 6 and 6. One of these factors is negative, and because it adds up to a negative 9, that means the bigger number must be negative. So I'm just going to go in and make all these bigger numbers negative. All right, so which combination, if you add these together, give you a negative 9? And we're going to focus on this 3 and the negative 12. 3 plus negative 12 is negative 9. So we get x plus 3 and x minus 12. So I have been showing all the factor pairs off on the side like this. This is a great fallback. If you're sitting there to try to get the factors in your head and you can't find the right combination, just list off your factor pairs and you'll get there. Do I need you to list off your factors? No, because if you can get the 3 and the negative 12 in your head, great. If not, list off your factor pairs to find it.